Zena Halpern's map and its strange ciphers. A researcher in New York named Zena Halpern was looking into some Templar history for the last 7 to 8 years. She found a map dated 1347, and she began to put some of the pieces together. She said the Templars journeyed to the northeastern part of America, dated 1178 to 1180, in a document, and they made landfall on the island of Oak. There was a cipher that used the very same symbols that the cipher for a 90-foot stone used. Zena said the maps and the La Formule cipher were hidden in the back pocket of a book that was given to her several years ago. One of the experts said he was able to decipher some of the words. The first of them was greyware, which is another term for pottery. The second was gold, and the third was the site of the first Portuguese fort and factory on the east coast of Africa in 1505. The last thing he deciphered was Joab, who was a general in King David's army and spent a lot of time in northern Africa. Zena said it was all interconnected to gold in Africa. In one of the stories, it was mentioned that Joab was pushing the Philistines back and he made it safe for the transport of the ark. Does this suggest that there's an organization out there that was using the symbols to encode messages that were doing something in Africa and somehow also there on Oak Island? Maps seem to indicate that someone went to the island in 1347. There was a section towards the left that showed Oak Island with French words identifying places. This added even more mystery to the map. Marty Lagina said the hand-drawn map is clearly Oak Island, and then there are several things named in French that have been translated for us. One is called the Basin, which is translated from French and clearly correlates to the swamp. Also delineated is something called the Marsh, which would be the swamp proper. The reference to what's called the Dam, and it points to where Fred Nolan articulated to us last year that there was a log wall. Rick Lagina continued by saying that there is a reference to what's called the Dam, and it points to where Fred Nolan articulated to us last year that there was a log wall. Marty also said that there was something on the map called the Oak Enter here. It pointed right about to where the money pit was. He also said that there were 2 or 3 things that they didn't know anything about. One is called the Anchors, one is called the Valve, and one is called the Hatch. However, Rick Lagina had some personal thoughts about the map and this theory. He said that he wasn't sure that Zena's research was going to lead to answers. She had a theory that was uniquely backed up by documentation. Still, he said that he would regret not following up on the research. It's no surprise to see how and why the Oak Island remains a mystery. With all of these theories, it's still hard to figure out which of them could be true and lead to the treasure. Let's shed more light on the final theory, the star map, and its weird history. The Lagina brothers invited a man called Travis Taylor to have Travis Taylor with us today. So you've done some investigative work and you have some stuff to show us. He did some investigative work and had a possible theory about Oak Island. In the analysis of a chart he showed to the team, a lot of uranium was found very close to the island. He said that the key to that is when uranium decays, a bunch of products get produced in the process, and radon is the one specifically. He went on to say that the idea is, if you have a void underneath the surface, over time, the uranium is going to cause this to fill with radon gas, especially if there's no ventilation. This would occur in a fluid-filled cavity, because radon is soluble in most materials. As Travis did more of his personal research, he came up with his own theory. He noticed that almost everybody who had been involved in the Oak Island investigations was a Freemason. For centuries, the mysterious and deeply symbolic fraternal society known as Freemasonry has piqued the interest of curious people everywhere. Its existence has resulted in different theories and stories. Its history is a fascinating tapestry intertwined with the development of contemporary fraternal societies, intellectual enlightenment, and medieval artisan communities. The Middle Ages saw the formation of stonemason guilds, which is when Freemasonry first began. These talented craftspeople created tight-knit communities while building spectacular castles and cathedrals. Their task required a high level of collaboration and knowledge sharing, in addition to extraordinary craftsmanship. These groups probably had their own traditions and rituals that helped to pass on knowledge from one generation to the next, and to strengthen the bonds of friendship among these essential constructors. The architecture started to change as the Middle Ages gave way to the Renaissance. The large-scale cathedral construction projects that had supported the societies of stonemasons for generations started to disappear. These societies faced a special problem as a result of this decline. Still, a few lodges managed to adjust. They started admitting men with illustrious histories and occupations who were not masons as honorary members. These accepted masons, or speculative masons as they were called, were drawn to the brotherly and philosophical features of the organization, but were not involved in its real building. This change signaled a major change in Freemasonry's history. Now, symbolic rites and moral lessons were entwined with the practical knowledge and operational skills of the stonemasons. The compass, square, and level, which are common instruments used by stonemasons, have deeper philosophical meanings and stand for ideas like justice, morality, and truth. This change paved the way for the Freemasonry that exists today, a fraternity dedicated to altruism, brotherly affection, and personal growth. Uniformity became necessary in the 18th century as Freemasonry became more and more prevalent. The first Grand Lodge was formed in 1717 by the union of 4 lodges in London, thus creating the supreme authority for English Freemasonry. As a result, a more formalized system with clearly defined degrees, levels of membership, and ceremonies was developed. The newly established framework guaranteed a more uniform Freemasonry practice among different lodges. In the Age of Enlightenment, the intellectuals and statesmen found great resonance in Freemasonry's emphasis on brotherhood and enlightened values. It soon swept over Europe, finding favorable conditions in nations like Germany and France. Across the Atlantic, Freemasonry spread and established itself in the American colonies. It is remarkable that a large number of the American founding fathers, such as John Hancock, Benjamin Franklin, and George Washington, were Freemasons. Freemasonry's standing in American history was further strengthened by its associations with notable individuals. However, national differences arose as Freemasonry expanded throughout the world. While some lodges maintained their tough secularism, others added more religious symbolism to their rituals. These differences resulted in the creation of various Freemasonry denominations, each with its own customs and rituals. Millions of people worldwide still actively participate in Freemasonry. Despite its positive contributions, Freemasonry has also come under fire for its secrecy and use of rituals in its ceremonies, which has led to conspiracy theories and rumors about the true nature of the organization. The majority of Masonic rituals are allegorical performances meant to pass on moral lessons and promote a sense of shared experience among members. Further research into the Freemasons made Travis notice Hiram Abiff's Freemason drawing template. There were actually meanings on the map that were based on astronomy. At the top, the hand of God is holding a chalice, the Holy Grail, or the cup of life. What the Freemasons use as a symbol is, as above, so below. The way they would draw maps is as above, so below. The stars would be their guide on how they created the map if they were going to make one. If you counted the stars on the upper right, there were 7 stars. It looked like the Pleiades, which is a part of Taurus. Did this mean that astronomy had something to do with the island? Travis overlaid the constellation on the island, and he believed that it led to the point where the actual treasure was on the island. After this, Travis, the Legina brothers, and the whole team decided to check the points where the stars were on the map. Upon investigation at 3 separate places, how many other large boulders like this around here? Not just sitting there, right? They considered if they were some kind of landmarks or markers. Marty Legina said, "Could those stones that we saw be markers that were put there by some human beings a long, long time ago to correspond with the star map?" The answer is, of course, they could. We need to get corroborative information first of all.